The elderly woman's voice trembled as she clutched her worn purse tighter. "Officer, please. I didn't do anything wrong," she pleaded, her voice breaking beneath the flashing red and blue lights that painted her dark skin in waves of fear and humiliation. The street was quiet except for the pulsing siren and the nervous murmurs of bystanders recording with their phones. A grocery bag lay spilled on the cracked sidewalk, oranges rolling away into the gutter. "Don't move, ma'am," barked Officer Reynolds, a stocky white cop with a shaved head and a permanent scowl. He shoved her against the hood of his patrol car, one hand gripping her frail arm too tightly. "You fit the description of a theft suspect." "I'm 71 years old," she cried, wincing in pain. "I just came from church. Look at me. Does this look like a thief to you?" Reynolds ignored her, twisting her arm higher. "You people always got excuses. Just cooperate before I make this harder." The woman's thin gold cross slipped from her neck, clinking against the metal hood. A few young men across the street shouted angrily, but none dared to step closer. They'd seen scenes like this before. In this neighborhood, confronting the police could mean trouble, or worse. Her wrinkled face glistened with tears as she whispered, "Lord, give me strength." "Marcus, where are you?" A few blocks away, Marcus Williams, tall, fit, dressed in army fatigues, was just stepping out of his car, smiling faintly as he read a text from his mom. "Got everything for your favorite stew. See you soon, baby." He had just returned home after 2 years of deployment overseas. All he wanted was to surprise her with flowers and a hug. But as he turned onto Auburn Avenue, he noticed flashing lights ahead and a crowd forming. "Man, that's crazy," a teenager muttered beside him. "That cop got some old..." The black SUV's engine rumbled softly as the door opened. Out stepped a tall, composed black man in a crisp suit. His presence commanded instant attention. Every officer nearby straightened up like soldiers before a superior. Reynolds's aggressive smirk faltered. "Captain, I didn't know you were coming out here." Captain Howard strode forward slowly, his calm gaze sweeping over the tense scene, the old woman trembling beside her spilled groceries, Marcus standing protectively before her, and Reynolds sweating beneath the flashing lights. His voice was low but sharp. "Reynolds, what's going on here?" "Sir." This woman matched the description of a shoplifting suspect, and she's 71. Howard cut in firmly. "You slammed an elderly woman against a car over a bag of oranges?" Reynolds's jaw tightened. "She resisted when I..." "Enough," Howard said, holding up a hand. His eyes turned toward Marcus and softened slightly. "Sir, you can put your hands down. I saw the video feed, and I know exactly who you are." Marcus hesitated. "You do?" Howard nodded. "Staff Sergeant Marcus Williams. Afghanistan, right? We've got veterans on the force who know your record." Marcus lowered his hands slowly, his eyes flicking between Howard and Reynolds. "Then you know this man disrespected my mother like she was trash." Howard sighed, rubbing his forehead. "Yes. And that's why we're going to handle this the right way." He turned to the older woman, who was still trembling. "Ma'am, I'm deeply sorry for what happened. We'll get you medical attention and take your statement." Her lips quivered. "All I wanted was to go home." A hush fell. Some officers began backing off, uneasy under the watchful eyes of the crowd, whose phones were still recording every move. Howard gestured to a young black female officer. "Jameson, help Mrs. Williams pick up her things and get her checked out." Reynolds's voice broke the silence, bitter and defensive. "Sir, with respect, you can't just take his word for it, because he's in the army. You didn't see how she..." Howard turned sharply. "I saw everything through your body cam. It's already uploaded to headquarters. You crossed a line." Reynolds's face went pale. The crowd began whispering. Marcus stepped closer to his mother, who was now sitting on the curb, holding her purse tightly like it was her last shield. "Mom," he whispered softly, crouching beside her. "It's okay now. You're safe." Her wrinkled hand touched his cheek. "I was so scared, baby. I thought I'd never see you again." The words hit him like a punch. The soldier who had faced war suddenly felt helpless, not on the battlefield, but on a city street where his mother had been humiliated for no reason. Howard crouched beside them, voice quieter now. "Sergeant Williams, off the record, I'm sorry. Things like this, they make all of us look bad. I'll see to it this doesn't get buried." Marcus nodded slowly, but didn't answer. His focus was on his mother, the soft whimpers she couldn't hold back, the quiet tremor in her voice, the pain behind her dignity. A few feet away, Reynolds was pacing, his radio buzzing with chatter. "This isn't right," he muttered. "He assaulted me. You can't just." Howard rose. "Reynolds, get in your car and wait."
"Now."
Reynolds hesitated, glaring at Marcus before finally obeying. The SUV's lights dimmed, the tension slowly easing. But the crowd wasn't leaving, not yet. People were still filming, still murmuring. Then, a voice called from the back. "Hey man, they better fire that." By the next morning, the incident had exploded across social media. Clips from different angles flooded TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. An old black woman shoved by a white cop, rescued by her soldier son. Hashtag Justice for Mrs. Williams was trending by sunrise. But while the internet celebrated Marcus as a hero, the edited footage that Officer Reynolds secretly leaked to a local blogger painted a very different picture, one that made Marcus look like the aggressor. In this doctored version, the clip began right when Marcus twisted the officer's wrist. The part showing his mother being harassed was gone. No context, just violence. The caption under the video read, "Army man assaults police officer in public. Investigation underway." By 9 a.m., news vans were parked outside the Williams' small home in southwest Atlanta. Marcus stood at the window, jaw tight, watching reporters swarm like vultures. His mother sat quietly on the couch, her Bible open on her lap, hands trembling as she turned the pages. "Baby," she said softly, "I told you, don't let this darkness steal your peace. The truth always comes out." Marcus turned from the window, eyes burning. "Mom, truth doesn't mean anything if people believe lies first." She sighed. "Then make them see it." Her words stuck with him, even as his phone buzzed again. "Captain Howard." He answered sharply. "Captain." Howard's voice was grave. "We've got a problem. That video going around. It's not the full one." "I know." Reynolds edited it. "You're sure?" "I saw him holding a flash drive last night. He kept it quiet." Howard exhaled heavily. "Then we'll need to find it. But the department's under pressure. They've suspended Reynolds for now, but the union's already defending him. And I got orders from the top to keep you off the radar." Marcus's laugh was short and bitter. "Off the radar? The whole city's seen my face." Howard hesitated. "Look, Sergeant, just don't do anything rash. I'll get that footage." The call ended. Silence fell again in the small living room. Then came a knock at the door. Marcus's muscles tensed. His mother looked up. Who could that be this early? He moved quietly toward the door and peeked through the window. Two men stood outside, suits, dark sunglasses, hands folded in front. Not reporters. Not police. He opened the door slightly. "Can I help you?" One of them flashed a badge. "Internal Affairs. Detective Barnes. We'd like to ask you and your mother a few questions about last night." Marcus stepped aside cautiously. "Come in." They entered, glancing around the modest room. Barnes sat across from Mrs. Williams, his tone polite but probing. "Ma'am, I want to first say we're sorry for what you experienced, but we're trying to piece together everything that happened." She nodded softly. "I already told Captain Howard the truth. That officer grabbed me for no reason." Barnes scribbled something in his notebook. "And your son, when he intervened, did he make physical contact first?" Marcus frowned. "I defended my mother. He shoved me. I reacted." Barnes nodded, his expression unreadable. "Understood. Just so you know, there's public pressure from both sides. Some see you as a hero, others as a violent agitator." Marcus clenched his jaw. Because of that edited video. Barnes didn't respond immediately. Instead, he exchanged a look with his partner. "We'll need your copy of any footage or messages from last night." Marcus hesitated, then pulled out his phone. "Everything I got is online." You can see what everyone else sees. Barnes took the phone. The officer's voice cut through the darkness. Hands where I can see them. Marcus slowly raised his hands, palms open, the flashlight's glare blinding him. The other officer kept his weapon trained as they stepped closer, their footsteps echoing through the empty depot. Don't move, one barked. Marcus forced himself to stay calm, his soldier's instincts keeping his breath steady. I'm unarmed, he said slowly. You just shot an unarmed man. I have everything recorded. Shut up, the officer snapped, grabbing his arm roughly and yanking him forward. Marcus's phone fell to the ground, skidding several feet away. The other officer picked it up, glanced at the recording screen, and smirked. Guess we'll make sure this never gets out. But before they could react, Marcus lunged. In one smooth motion, he twisted free, slammed his elbow into the nearest officer's chest, and rolled behind a metal pillar for cover. A flash of movement, a gunshot. Sparks flew off the concrete inches from his head. He pressed his back against the cold steel, heart pounding. You shoot me, he yelled, and the whole country will see what kind of justice you're serving. The officers exchanged tense glances. They knew his face was everywhere. Shooting him would be suicide, career, and otherwise. Drop the act, soldier, one shouted. You're resisting arrest. For what? Marcus yelled back. For defending my mother, or for catching you murder your own witness? A long, heavy silence filled the air. Then, the sound of a radio crackled. Unit 12, status report. One officer hesitated before answering. Suspect fled the scene, shots fired. Marcus frowned. They were framing him. Again. He needed proof. And he needed it fast. He crawled toward the hooded man's body, keeping low in the shadows. The man's phone had fallen beside him, its screen cracked but still glowing. A file transfer was halfway through, body cam footage backup, 92%. Marcus's pulse quickened. Come on, just a little more. Another shot rang out, hitting the ground near his hand. He grabbed the phone and bolted toward a side exit, diving through a broken door as headlights cut across the lot. Behind him, he heard shouting. He's running. Don't let him get away. He sprinted through the back alley, jumping a fence and landing hard in an empty lot. His lungs burned, but he didn't stop until he reached his car 2 blocks away. Once inside, he locked the doors and checked the phone again. The transfer had finished. The file was safe. He exhaled shakily. Whoever you were, he whispered to the dead man, you didn't die for nothing. The phone's battery was almost dead, but he managed to copy the footage to his own device before it shut down. The final clip was crystal clear, Reynolds harassing his mother, calling her slurs, and even laughing after pushing her against the car. Everything. Marcus sat there in silence, gripping the phone so tightly his knuckles whitened. He could destroy Reynolds' entire career with one upload. But he also knew this wasn't just about one cop anymore. Someone higher up was protecting him. He opened a secure chat app used by veterans and sent a message to a contact labeled Eagle, a fellow soldier and cybersecurity expert. Marcus, need your help. Got a file the police don't want seen. Can't upload it safely. Eagle, send it to me. I'll trace where the cover-up came from. Marcus, doing it now. And Eagle, someone died getting this. Eagle, then let's make sure it means something. He hit send. Moments later, his phone buzzed again. This time it was Captain Howard. Sergeant Williams, the captain said tightly. The red and blue lights in Marcus's rearview mirror burned through the darkness, like the eyes of a predator. He gripped the steering wheel tighter, his knuckles pale. 2 police cruisers were closing in, slow and deliberate. Not chasing, cornering. He muttered under his breath. They're not bringing me in, they're bringing me down. His mother's face flashed in his mind again, her trembling voice, her tears. He couldn't die now. Not before she got justice. Marcus slammed the gear into drive. The tire screeched and the car shot forward, swerving out of the abandoned lot and onto the main road. Suspect is fleeing southbound on Peachtree, one of the officers barked into his radio. But Marcus knew these streets. He'd grown up here, raced his first car here, dodged worse in foreign deserts. They wouldn't catch him easily. He cut through narrow back streets, weaving between dumpsters and potholes. The sirens blared behind him, echoing off the old brick buildings. Up ahead, he spotted an overpass, a narrow ramp that led to a construction site. He yanked the wheel hard and sped up the incline. The cruisers followed, engines roaring. At the top, the unfinished bridge opened to nothing but air, a drop into a grassy embankment below. Marcus braked just in time, tires screeching as gravel sprayed. He jumped out, sprinting toward the nearby scaffolding while the officers stopped and shouted orders. "Stop right there." Bullets cracked the air, not warning shots. Marcus dove behind a pile of concrete slabs, heart pounding. One round grazed his shoulder, tearing his sleeve. He groaned, pressing his hand to the wound. "They're trying to kill me for real now." He reached for his phone, calling Eagle. "Talk to me," Eagle said immediately. "They found me," Marcus panted. "Two cruisers, they're shooting to kill." "Listen," Eagle said, voice tense. "I traced Howard's access logs. He authorized the deletion, yes, but under pressure. Someone above him ordered it." "Above him?" Marcus whispered. "City Council liaison. A politician named Garrett Hensley. He's been funding the department's expansion programs, and he's got money tied to Reynolds' precinct." Marcus's head spun. "So, that's who they're protecting?" Eagle replied. "And that's who you need to expose. I've already sent copies of the footage to 3 journalists I trust. You just need to stay alive long enough for them to publish it." Marcus smirked grimly. "No promises." He ended the call, slipping between the scaffolding beams and climbing down the embankment. Blood ran down his arm, but adrenaline kept him steady. In the distance, more sirens joined the chase. He needed somewhere to hide, somewhere safe. He thought of one place. His old neighborhood on the east side, the home of Uncle Ray, a retired mechanic and Vietnam vet who'd known Marcus since childhood. He limped down a dark alley, avoiding the main roads. When he finally reached Ray's auto shop, the neon sign buzzed faintly, "Ray's Fix and Weld." Marcus banged on the door. "Uncle Ray, it's Marcus." Moments later, the door opened slightly, revealing an older man in a greasy jumpsuit and thick glasses. His face hardened when he saw the blood. "Boy, what the hell you gotten yourself into?" "No time," Marcus said, stepping inside and locking the door. "Cops are after me. Not for what I did, but for what I know." Ray's expression darkened. "You sound just like your daddy used to when he crossed the wrong people." He guided Marcus to a chair. "Sit down. Let me patch you up." As Ray cleaned the rain poured like bullets from the sky, soaking Marcus to the bone as he froze mid-stride. Across the street, Captain Howard still had his hand raised, but behind him, Detective Reynolds stepped forward, the smug grin of a man who believed he'd already won. "Marcus Cole," Reynolds called out, voice slicing through the storm. "You've caused a lot of trouble. Why don't you come quietly? Let's end this before somebody else gets hurt." Marcus's jaw tightened. "Like my mother?" Reynolds smirked. "She should have taught you to stay in line." Before Marcus could respond, Howard turned sharply. "That's enough, Reynolds." Reynolds' grin faded into a sneer. "You really gonna play hero now, Captain? After everything you covered up?" Marcus watched, pulse hammering. 2 devils facing each other. But one of them still had a flicker of conscience. Howard stepped closer to Reynolds, lowering his voice. "You've gone too far. Shooting at an unarmed veteran? Planting evidence? This isn't justice." Reynolds laughed. "Justice? Howard, this is justice, the kind that keeps the city running. You think those politicians fund us because we're saints?" Marcus took a slow step forward. Every muscle screamed for him to run, but he needed to know where Howard stood. Howard's hand hovered over his holster. "Put the gun down, Reynolds." Reynolds tilted his head, rain streaming down his face. "You won't shoot me. You don't have the guts." A tense silence filled the air, broken only by thunder. Then, from the corner of the street, tires screeched. A dark van slammed to a halt. The side door slid open, and Eagle leaned out, shouting, "Marcus, get in." Marcus sprinted toward the van. Reynolds drew his weapon, firing. Howard moved first, shoving Reynolds's arm aside, the shot going wide. The two men struggled, grappling in the rain, their guns slipping in their soaked hands. Marcus dived into the van as Eagle hit the gas. Bullets cracked the back window as they sped off, the city lights blurring behind them. Inside, Eagle glanced at him. "You good?" Marcus clutched his shoulder. "Been better." "I broadcasted the video," Eagle said breathlessly. "All of it, the footage, the officer's logs, the connection to Hensley. Every major outlet's got it now. They can't hide this anymore." Marcus exhaled shakily. "Then it's over." Eagle didn't respond immediately. His eyes flicked to the side mirror. "It's not over yet," he said. Marcus turned. Two cruisers were still chasing them through the rain, their lights cutting through the darkness like twin demons. "Hang on," Eagle said, gripping the wheel tighter. They tore through downtown, weaving between traffic, the van's engine growling. Marcus looked at the laptop screen beside him. The live feed was playing. The leaked footage of Reynolds executing the unarmed teen, followed by files linking Garrett Hensley to illegal police budgets and off-book contracts. News anchors' faces were stunned. "It's airing," Marcus whispered. "The world's seeing it." Then crack. The back window shattered. A bullet whizzed past his ear. "Eagle." Almost there. Eagle swerved sharply onto the expressway. Up ahead, a police blockade loomed, flashing lights, spike strips. "Go right," Marcus shouted. "Industrial Road." Eagle nodded, spun the wheel hard. The van skidded through a side street and slammed through a chain-link fence, crashing into an empty warehouse yard. They bailed out, running through puddles and shadows. Inside the warehouse, dim lights flickered from broken fixtures. The next morning, Atlanta woke up to chaos. Every major news station replayed the leaked footage. Officer Reynolds shooting an unarmed black teenager, the cover-up involving Mayor Garrett Hensley, and the connection to the city's crime prevention task force. Headlines screamed, "Police corruption exposed, Atlanta in shock." Army veteran behind viral leak identified. Marcus's face was now everywhere. In a small motel off Peachtree Street, he sat by the window, watching the morning traffic. His arm was bandaged, his uniform long gone. Across the room, Eagle was scrolling through his phone. "Half the city's calling you a hero," Eagle said. "The other half, they're calling you a terrorist." Marcus gave a faint smile. "Funny how truth makes people uncomfortable." Eagle looked up. "You sure you want to go through with this next part? Once we testify, there's no going back." Marcus nodded slowly. "I didn't come this far to hide. My mother didn't raise me to run from justice." He paused, staring at the small Bible resting on the nightstand, his mother's. Her words echoed in his mind. "Stand for truth, even when truth stands alone." The door suddenly creaked open. Both men froze. A woman stepped inside, Detective Lana Briggs, one of the few honest officers left in the department. She closed the door quickly and locked it behind her. "Marcus," she whispered. "They're coming for you." Marcus frowned. "Who?" "The task force. What's left of them. Reynolds might be gone, but Hensley's still in power, and he's scared. They've issued an unofficial bounty. You're a target." Eagle cursed under his breath. "Of course. Can't let the truth breathe for a second." Briggs pulled a file from her coat. "You didn't hear this from me, but the governor's calling for a federal investigation. They want you to testify in D.C. within 48 hours. If you can make it there alive, you can bring the whole system down." Marcus clenched his fists. "Then, that's what I'll do." Briggs handed him a set of car keys. "There's an unmarked SUV 2 blocks down. Take it. Keep off the main highways. They'll be watching." Before leaving, she looked him in the eye. "You're doing the right thing, Marcus. But right doesn't always mean safe." She slipped out into the morning light and was gone. They hit the road before dawn, cutting through the back streets, avoiding patrol cars and surveillance drones. The air was tense, every sound amplified, every shadow suspicious. By noon, they reached the outskirts of Macon, stopping at a gas station. Marcus leaned against the SUV, scanning the horizon. Eagle went inside to grab food. Moments later, a black sedan pulled up at the far end of the lot. Two men in plain clothes stepped out, no badges, but their eyes said everything. Marcus's instincts kicked in. He turned toward the convenience store. "Eagle, we've got company." The men moved fast. One raised his weapon. Marcus ducked behind the pump, returning fire. Bullets cracked glass and shredded plastic. A customer screamed, diving for cover. Eagle burst from the store, gun drawn. "Back door now." They sprinted toward the rear exit, jumped a fence, and tore through a narrow alley into a wooded area behind the station. The sedan's engine roared as the men chased them. Eagle shouted, "We can't keep doing this, man. We need a safe house." Marcus stopped, breathing hard. "No more hiding. I need to make that testimony count, no matter what it takes." He pulled out his phone and dialed a number. "Mom," he said softly, voice shaking. "I'm okay. I just wanted you to know that I'm not running anymore." The next morning, America was no longer the same. Across every major news network, from CNN to small-town radio stations, the footage rolled nonstop. The brutal assault on the elderly woman, the hidden deals between Mayor Hensley and corrupt officers, the murder cover-ups, and the explosive truth that the man behind the leak was Sergeant Marcus Cole, an Army officer and son of the very woman those cops had brutalized. The country was stunned. Reporters swarmed the streets of Atlanta. Protesters gathered outside police precincts holding signs that read, "Justice for Mama Cole. No more shields for the corrupt." And in the chaos of that nationwide outrage, Marcus and Eagle lay low in an abandoned rail yard on the edge of the city. The morning sun broke through the clouds, the first they'd seen in days. Marcus sat on a crate, his hoodie pulled low, watching a group of kids skate down the street nearby, carefree, unaware that the man sitting in the shadows had just shaken the system. Eagle tossed a newspaper onto the ground between them. "You made the front page, man. Army hero or domestic terrorist? Guess the media can't decide." Marcus smirked faintly. They never could tell the difference between a fighter and a threat. Eagle leaned back against a wall. "Word is, the FBI's opened a full corruption probe. Hensley's gone underground. Half the department's under suspension. You actually did it." Marcus didn't respond right away. His mind was elsewhere, on his mother, who was still recovering at a private medical center under protective watch. He could still hear her soft voice from their last call. "You did what you had to, son. But don't let revenge turn your heart cold." That voice haunted him, even now. Later that day, they tuned into a live press conference. The screen showed Mayor Garrett Hensley, face pale, standing before flashing cameras. He cleared his throat, feigning calm. "These allegations are false and politically motivated. I've served this city honorably." Then a reporter interrupted. "Sir, the documents show you personally approved the covert fund that paid officers like Reynolds for illegal detentions. Are you denying those signatures are yours?" Hensley's mask cracked. Sweat glistened under the lights. The crowd erupted with shots, reporters pressing closer. Marcus whispered, "He's cornered." Eagle grinned. "He's finished." But then something unexpected happened. The live feed cut out for a moment. When it returned, chaos filled the frame. People screamed, pushing against barricades as a black SUV tore away from the press area. The anchor's voice trembled. "Breaking news. Mayor Hensley has fled the scene. Federal agents are in pursuit." Marcus stood slowly, fists tightening. "He's running." Eagle nodded. "And we both know where he'll go. To whoever's still protecting him." That night, the city boiled. Protests turned into marches, marches into near riots. Crowds filled downtown streets, chanting Marcus's name. Marcus Cole. Justice for all. Police presence doubled, but even some officers stood with the people now, tired of silence. Marcus and Eagle watched from the roof of an old church near downtown. Below, lights from cell phones shimmered like stars. Eagle exhaled. "Man, this is history. You see that? They're not afraid anymore." Marcus nodded, a heavy calm in his chest. "Yeah. But the fight's not over. Hensley's still out there." Before Eagle could respond, Marcus's phone buzzed. Unknown number again. He hesitated, then answered. A distorted voice came through. You think it's over, soldier? You took my city. The night was thick with fog and the scent of oil and rust. Down by the old freight dock, broken containers stood like tombstones, the air heavy with silence. Marcus parked a block away, engine off, heart pounding like a drum in his chest. Rain tapped against the windshield, a quiet warning. He loaded his sidearm, slid a photo of his mother into his jacket pocket, and whispered, "This ends tonight." The city lights glimmered faintly in the distance, but here, it was all shadow and danger. He moved through the maze of old metal crates, every footstep measured, every breath steady. Then, a voice echoed from the darkness. "Right on time, soldier boy." Marcus froze. A figure emerged from the shadows. Mayor Garrett Hensley, dressed in a long black coat, his silver hair glistening under the dock lights. His calm, polished demeanor was gone. In its place stood a desperate man. Behind him, 2 armed guards held Marcus's mother, Martha Cole, her hands tied, her eyes swollen from tears. "Marcus," she cried. He stepped forward. "Let her go, Hensley. She's got nothing to do with this." Hensley chuckled darkly. "Oh, she's got everything to do with this. You see, she's the reason you turned against me. The reason my city burns. The reason I've lost everything." Marcus's voice cut like steel. "You lost it because you built it on blood." Hensley tilted his head. "Blood is the foundation of power, Marcus. You, of all people, should understand that. You fought wars overseas, wars for people who didn't even know your name. And what did you get for it? Nothing. Just a cheap medal and a broken mother." Marcus gritted his teeth, the veins in his neck pulsing. "You think this is power? Using people, killing them, covering it up? You're nothing but a coward hiding behind a badge and a title." Hensley's lips curled into a cruel smile. "Coward? No, Sergeant. I'm what your country made me, efficient, untouchable, necessary. You think you exposed corruption, but all you did was tear the mask off a monster the people need to feel safe." Marcus took another step forward. "Then I'll make sure they see what that monster really looks like." Hensley's guards raised their rifles. "Another step, and your mama won't make it through the night," Hensley warned. The air went still. Even the rain seemed to hesitate. Martha's voice trembled. "Marcus, baby, don't do anything foolish." Her words were calm, but her eyes told him she knew this might be her last night alive. Marcus's mind raced. He needed a distraction, one wrong move, and she'd be gone. Slowly, his hand inched toward his jacket. He still had a small flash grenade, standard issue from his service days, kept as a memento. Tonight, it might save them both. Hensley continued pacing like a vulture circling its prey. "You could have been one of us, Marcus. I saw your file. Disciplined, loyal, obedient. Men like you are tools, and tools should never think they're the hand that holds them." Marcus slowly shifted his stance, pretending to lower his weapon. "You talk too much." "What?" Hensley frowned. Marcus flicked the pin from the grenade and dropped it. A blinding white flash filled the dock. A deafening bang followed. The guard screamed, disoriented. Marcus lunged forward, tackling the nearest one to the ground and disarming him with a quick twist of the wrist. The other fired blindly, missing wide as the flash disoriented his aim. "Mom, down," Marcus shouted. Martha dropped flat just as Marcus rolled to. The hospital lights were harsh and white, the kind that made time feel like it had stopped. Machines beeped softly beside Marcus's bed, steady, patient, each sound a reminder that he was still alive. Bandaged, pale, and weak, he stared out the window where dawn crept over Atlanta. The storm had passed. The city's skyline glowed gold in the first light, a city reborn, yet still haunted. His mother sat at his bedside, Bible open in her lap, reading softly. When she noticed his eyes open, she smiled, tired but proud. "Morning, baby," she whispered. Marcus tried to sit up, wincing. "Morning, Mama. You look like you haven't slept." She laughed through tears. "Neither have you." A knock came at the door. Detective Lana Briggs stepped in, arm in a sling, face bandaged, but her spirit intact. Behind her stood two men in suits, FBI agents. "Sergeant Cole," one said. "You should know, your evidence blew the whole thing open. The mayor's accounts, the department ties, even the council bribes. It's all over the news." Marcus's jaw tightened. "And the people behind Hensley?" The agent nodded grimly. "We're coming for them next. This city owes you more than it can repay." Briggs added quietly, "They'll probably try. The mayor's mansion is under investigation." The chief resigned at dawn. She stepped closer, placing a small folded flag on his table. "Your service record's being restored, Marcus. They're giving you your honor back." Marcus looked down at the flag, then up at her. "I didn't do it for honor." She smiled faintly. "I know. That's why you deserve it." A week later, news cameras flooded the courthouse steps. Protesters waved signs. "Justice for Carter. End police corruption. No more silence." For the first time in years, the people of Atlantis stood united, not in anger, but in resolve. Marcus, walking slowly with a cane, stepped out beside Briggs and his mother. Reporters swarmed, shouting questions. "Sergeant Cole, do you believe justice was truly served? What message do you have for the people of the city? Will you press charges against the department?" He paused before the microphones. The city went silent. Even the wind seemed to listen. Marcus's voice was steady. "Justice isn't a verdict or a punishment. It's the truth, raw, painful, and necessary. I didn't fight for revenge. I fought so this city would stop pretending not to see. If you want change, don't wait for someone like me. Be it." A cheer rippled through the crowd, not wild, but proud. Martha wiped her eyes. "That's my son," she whispered. Briggs leaned toward him. "So what now, soldier?" Marcus glanced at the city skyline.
"Now?"
"I build something better. One block at a time." 6 months later, a community center opened on Auburn Avenue. Bright murals, open doors, laughter echoing inside. The sign above read, "The Carter Foundation for Truth and Justice." Children played basketball while volunteers served meals. Inside, photos lined the wall, his father, fallen officers, innocent victims, and a quote painted in bold letters. "Courage isn't in the uniform. It's in the choices we make when no one's watching." Marcus walked through the hallways with Briggs at his side, watching a group of teens debate about civic duty and reform. "This," he said softly, "this is what it's supposed to be." Briggs smiled. "Think your father would be proud?" Marcus nodded. "I know he would." Outside, Martha sat on the steps, watching the sunset. Marcus joined her quietly. "Atlanta looks different now," she said. "It does," he replied. "Still got a long way to go." She turned to him, her eyes warm. "You did good, Marcus. You gave the next generation something to believe in." He squeezed her hand.
"No, Mama."
"We did." The camera panned upward, from their hands, to the building, to the city skyline, a city scarred but healing. The narrator's voice faded in. "In every fight for justice, there comes a moment when truth costs more than silence." Marcus Cole paid that price, and in doing so, gave his city a chance to start again. Because sometimes the bravest act isn't pulling a trigger, it's choosing to stand when the world tells you to kneel. The screen fades to black. Then the text appears, dedicated to all those who spoke when silence was safer. The end.